told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen. Never thought I'd get caught and wind up in prison. Chalk it up to youth, but young age I ain't dissing. I guess I just had to get it out of my system, out of my system.
All right, welcome to Uncarcerated on the Road. We are in Atlanta, and we're here because Julius and I are Represent Justice ambassadors. We are part of a one-year fellowship where we just got done filming a documentary that will be out July 23rd. And one of my Represent Justice ambassadors, filmmakers, activists all over the country, a guy I've been super impressed with from the moment I met him. I remember last year we got to LA and we're all meeting each other and everybody's introducing each other, and this guy's like, I just got back from Ghana on a healing journey. And I was like, oh my God, I am in the wrong place, because this guy really has his shit together. Marcus Kelly. Marcus, welcome.
What up, though? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. Can you I've gotten the pleasure of knowing you over the last year. Can you let our listeners know who you are, what your level of impact was with the system, and sort of what you're working on?
Yes, I'm Marcus Kelly, founder and executive director of the Change Up Midnight Coalition. We chose the name Midnight because during the Underground Railroad, the nickname for Detroit was Midnight. So everybody had to get to Detroit by midnight to move towards dawn, which was Freedom, Canada. I'm formerly incarcerated, of course, served 9 years wrongfully convicted of drug charges, father of four, and yeah, I am trying to get slavery and involuntary servitude out of Michigan's Constitution and ultimately out of our federal Constitution.
It's unbelievable, and obviously you've met other folks along the way that are working on this. You are part of a movement. You're a leader of a movement. Let people know kind of like what that would look like. What are the next steps to get that off of there? What progress, if any, has been made on the 13th Amendment?
The 13th Amendment is still stagnant. I know Nakima Williams and I think Cory Booker and them have a bill and sponsored a bill to get it out of the federal Constitution. I'm currently trying to get it out of Michigan's Constitution, where Article 1, subsection 9 says we abolish slavery and involuntary servitude except for punishment for a crime. That particular language has become the genesis to all the harmful policies we're fighting against today. The first time I worked on that was in Nevada. I worked with Mass Liberation Project Nevada and a few other organizations that was fighting to get it out, and we were successful in 2024. I've been working to try to get out of Michigan ever since.
What states have taken that step? Do you know?
Right now we have Nevada, we have Alabama, we have Colorado. And in fact, Colorado took it a step further, and the people in prison, after slavery got out of their constitution, they end up suing the state for slave labor. And the the courts ruled that they can no longer force people to work because they're no longer slaves. And we have, if I can recall, it's probably about 11 states now that's got it out of their constitution. I'm just the few that I know now.
And what can our audience, the viewers of your film, what's the call to action? What can folks do to get this off the books, to make progress? Because obviously you can look on any bar graph and see Jim Crow, you can see this amendment, and you can see the prison population go right alongside with it.
I would respectfully ask you to join the movement, spread the word. You can show up by donating money so we can keep the movement going. You can show up by asking your elected officials to get slavery and involuntary servitude out of your Constitution. Just educating the community.
Sweet. Can you talk a little bit about your film? What was that process like? What's the name of the film? What's it going to be like?
The film is entitled "No Exception to the Promise," and that is because in the Constitution is an exception clause. So it says again, we abolishing slavery and involuntary servitude, except for punishment for a crime. So we saying it should never be an exception to the promise that we should all be free of slavery and involuntary servitude. And with my film, what I want to do is I want to educate everyone that slavery was never abolished, contrary to what we were taught in school, and that is the genesis of all the harmful policies we fighting against today. Whether it's government control over women's bodies, whether it's forcing somebody to work for pennies on a dollar, or with a 500-to-1 ratio of what the state or the state's getting paid for prison labor. In Michigan, they kick out. I forgot what the direct number in the millions in goods, but only pay, for instance, license plates. In Michigan makes $7.5 million a year off selling license plates, but they pay the 40 people that's pushing out 12,000 license plates a day a combined $100,000 a year. So that's a 500-to-1 ratio, maybe a little bit more. That and to kill the narrative saying that immigrants are taking your jobs. In fact, prison are taking your jobs. And if and for my union workers, I would say that if you're going to protect the rights of workers, you should protect the rights of all workers. And that if billionaire companies don't want to, honor your contract, they'll just say, forget it. We'll just put it in prison, make them do it for free or pennies on the dollar with no health care, no sick days, nothing.
Do you see space for unions and labor coalitions to get behind this film and this project?
Yes. Again, if you are for the people, of the people, and you support the lives of workers, then yeah, I can see our labor unions getting behind people in prison being forced to work. That they should actually, it would make collective bargaining stronger, and it would actually humanize those of us that's being dehumanized.
I really appreciate you expounding on that. The film's out July 23rd. No exception to the promise. What are some other things you're working on outside of the film, or things that go right alongside the film?
Right now, we are working to get people registered to vote, and because we have a self-interest in people being registered to vote and understanding what is happening in America when it comes to voter suppression, voter disenfranchisement, and that in order to make this possible, we'll get slavery out of the Constitution. We need people registered to vote, and we need the people to get out there and vote. So that is one of the things we're working on. We also, have a bus at this point. We call it the Freedom Bus, where we're going to be busing people to the polls that doesn't have a ride to the polls. We also have a program because in Michigan you can register to vote at 16. So we are taking our youth and to turn them into future leaders. So we educating them with civics engagement, the voting process, power mapping, showing them what elected officials vote for what, so you can know who to vote for that represents your values and your self-interest, meaning yourself amongst others. And yeah, we're hoping to bring future leaders.
Political education is so important. I want to ask you real quick, are you concerned about Election Day, what's going to happen at the polls with obviously ICE, white supremacists, I guess that's redundant. Are you concerned about making sure people are safe? And do you know if any steps are being taken to keep people safe?
I'm more concerned about the people who are uneducated when it comes to voting, the people who don't think that their voice matters. I'm not really concerned about at the polls.
Election day violence.
Yeah, okay. I'm not really concerned about that. I'm concerned about the people who don't go vote. That is the scary part, because that is why our counterparts, white supremacy is still able to continue to disenfranchise voters. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, getting rid of the Voter Rights Act, getting, now they talking about in the Confederate states, they talking about challenging the 14th Amendment at this point, which gave us equal protection. So, it's like they're slowly peeling back all of the protections that we had, that our ancestors died for, to make sure that we had a voice. So I'm more so concerned about that and the messaging. I feel like, the Democratic Party. I feel like they're not reaching the everyday person, and I'm talking about the people, not addressing kitchen table conversations.
The working class.
The working class.
Yep.
And I'm a firm believer that if you starve a community, they become a slave to whoever feeding them.
And we have seen over the last 10 years that people will fall for anything when they're hurt, when they're ignorant, when they're getting bad information. And it just seems like, oh, well, this is something different. I'm going to try this. So, I think you're right about that.
I'm glad you pointed that out. It's another thing that we do things that's just redundant. When we look at, organizations, up and coming organizations with new and fresh ideas, it seems like they're not the ones that's getting funded. You know what I'm saying? They're not funding people that's boots on the ground every day. They fund the larger organizations that, that looks great, you know what I'm saying, on looks great in social media, but the people who's actually in the community doing the work doesn't get the recognition and doesn't get the funding. And when they do fund people that's doing the work, they give them crumbs, kibbles and crumbs, and have orgs, fighting over those crumbs while they continue to take all of our civil rights back. So I'm like, we have to do something different. Even with public health and safety, we know that term came from the Fugitive Slave Act, the 1850s Fugitive Slave Act, and they called it law and order, which was really to protect property over people. And today they just changed the name of it to public health and safety. But, safety and public health means, it should mean safety for all. It should mean healthy schools. It should mean healthy hospitals. It should
access
mean
to healthcare.
Access
right.
to healthcare. Yep. It should be, jobs. And that is how it should be care over punishment. But for some reason we have been, we've learned to basically throw our people away.
Yep, and public safety has been conflated with law and order when it really means so much more. I saw this like up close over the last few years at the shelter that we have all worked at, been involved with, that, they talked a lot about making the shelter safer. And so what ended up happening was they increased trespasses, they increased rules, they built a fence, right? But what was not happening simultaneously was a well-trained, compassionate staff, trauma-informed care, access to health care, access to medication, all those things that really make a community safe. So you see that, top down and bottom up for sure.
Yeah, might remind me almost like Hades Town. You want to build a wall.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Everybody wants the easy answer.
Everybody wants the easy answer. And I'm a firm believer, as I always tell people, if they come for your neighbors at night, they're going to come for you in the morning.
Thank you so much, Marcus. One last thing before we let you get out of here. Anything that you're listening to right now, reading, binge watching, what's something that you are consuming that the audience should know about you?
Right now, binge watching Power. I'm binge watching Power right now. What I would like the audience to... What was that question?
I just wanted to something that the audience that you doing for fun in your private time. Power's good. Yeah. You gotta have some checkout time.
Yes.
For sure.
And for fun, I enjoy spending time with my grandbaby, 2 years old, and just to get a chance to just see and do it all over. It's not a book written to be a parent. That's one of the things you learn on the job. But being a grandparent, you get a chance to do it all over again and pick up where you slacked off and made mistakes.
So much joy. Absolutely. Marcus, can't wait for this film to be out July 23rd. We're going to be in LA doing the big premiere at the Directors Guild. And I'm super excited to get to watch your film and get to go on this impact campaign together.
Man, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
They told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen. Never thought I'd get caught and wind up in prison. Chalk it up to youth, but young age I ain't dissing. I guess I just had to get it out of my